Welcome. Here we are. We are in a special edition of Ancestrally Speaking. It is Sunday, and I am so sorry, people. I'm getting a little note that's telling me that I'm having some problems streaming to Instagram. So, people on Instagram, can you let me know? Can you see us? This is a little crazy and sad. Give me 1 second.
Mercury is in retrograde, so be patient.
It really is in retrograde. That's very
Simone, do you have another thing on? There's echo. Is there? Did you? All the other things are off?
Yeah, I don't have anything else on. Unless you guys might. I'm not sure.
Nope, I'm off.
I lowered it. It was echoing a little, but
sorry about this, guys.
It happens. It's life. It's fine.
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, exactly. We're here, and we already know the conversation's going to get good. You just have to watch what you say in front of Kat and I, because we have like
we have very strong opinions and views.
We have like a sensitive,
especially when it comes to Mr. Majors.
It's like someone that we're like
bad
for that person.
Okay, I'm not live on Instagram, which is really sad to me.
It says live though. It says live, 1 minute 18 seconds.
No,
yeah, but it's not Instagram.
Yeah. Instagram.
Where are you pushing this to?
Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Okay, so push everybody to one of those.
Sorry?
Push everybody to one of those. I'm gonna go onto Facebook and push it there as well.
Okay, hi everybody on Facebook.
That's hilarious. Hi everyone on Facebook. Hi everyone on Instagram.
Hold on one
How's
second.
your morning going at 11:04 Eastern Standard Time?
Yes,
except for my raggedy ring light being disrespectful, I'm pretty good.
Oh, I'm good. I secretly wish I had some food, but it's fine. Like after this, I'm gonna just go across the street to the nice little food truck across the street, get my best life, have some tacos and a smile.
There you go. I'm here for that. Oh my God, this ring light business is
wow. I'm so sorry, guys, but this is incredibly annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so we can't see what's going on Instagram. I got it.
Yeah, Instagram. I thought maybe you had a fix because
Instagram is
Okay, ancestors, I'm gonna need y'all to help us right now because it's called Ancestral Speaking. So,
but sometimes these planets
right now,
these planets know exactly how to get you. Okay, hold on a second. So, sorry guys. Talk amongst yourselves while I try and sort this out.
Talk amongst yourselves. I don't know. How's your Sunday morning going? I'm looking forward to the season finale.
I am ready, but not ready.
You're not ready. Why? Because I'm not ready for it to be over.
Yeah. It's really been something that I've absolutely enjoyed this entire time. So.
I know it really, because I was late to the game. Like I had a family emergency, so I was like out of commission for around 2 months. And my friends kept on saying, watch it. I was like, all right, relax. I'm gonna watch it. And then when I saw the first episode, it was a wrap. I was like, all plans are canceled.
Right.
I am catching up.
I knew it was going to be awesome, but I stacked them. So I waited till I think episode 3 had already happened. And then I watched them all at the same time. And then it was a wrap. I was like, okay.
No, yeah. I was like, dun, dun. Like it was like a whole food thing. I was like, hold up. I got to get my food. Let me make this happen. What drink am I going to make? Okay, we're good. Now,
okay.
I was just on my couch having the best time of my life. Like
it's so much
yelling
fun.
At the screen, like I know these people.
I'm very invested. I'm invested
also. I mean, you know what I think what I love about it is it's a project. Well, it's a series that I would question someone who isn't invested because it's so like. I mean, it's just. Everything's on point. You got music, you got, not to mention that they incorporate like narrations,
right?
Like speeches and stuff. And you're just like, yeah like that's kind of dope. And just the tonality of it, everything's just,
Well, there are people who, right now, dare I say it, are not fans of the show.
And I don't.
I'm sorry. Who are not fans of the show?
There are some people who are actually not fans of the show.
You know what? I mean, I hope that they're coming on this IG because I would love to know what do you take issue with on the show?
Because
so one of the things that I have seen is
okay, wait, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
You know this.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay, no, wait. Look, can we just start again? Give me a break.
Don't be
Okay.
so
Okay, where on
Facebook
Facebook should I go so I can share it with my page?
I've just hold on a minute.
We are so black, by the way, and I love us.
There's really nothing.
I rebuke that. Why?
Okay, check the WhatsApp. Okay, everybody. I'm sorry about the glitch. We're back. Ancestrally speaking, for all those who are new, it is a weekly IG live in which Bresi-Ando Tools for Living does to talk about everything we experience in the world, but from an ancestral point of view, particularly centering African spirituality. So, of course, we have to talk about Lovecraft country. It is one of the best things I've ever seen on the small screen. Misha Green, you are that girl. We're giving you the flowers today. You're amazing. And I think the biggest fan
he
of your
deserves props.
Underground. And I've got my crazy gang with me because it's a Sunday morning. And why should we jolt you out of your bed with 3 black women who don't give a fuck? That's right. We don't give a fuck and we say what we want. And we probably will get into argument on here too. We've got a lot going on, okay? First of all, we all look really pretty. Thank you, guys. You all look so beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
You're beautiful too. Thank you.
I need to pass it over to my amazing people. So right now we have Risikat Okedyi. So she is a professor, a cultural architect, and all things amazing, and a magical, very magical black woman who'll get your ass right with the herbs and, maybe even throw some your way as well, if you're lucky. So Risikat, come on, girl, tell us who you are. I need my bubble.
What a girl.
Y'all are so silly. Okay. First of all, thank you for having me, Simone. I always, we have some of the most amazing conversations. And so I'm really excited to be here. Let's do something. The producer in me is struggling with this echo. Can you, everybody mute their mic real quick? Let me see if that's what the issue is. Okay. I think we're going to have to do that. There's something happening. Okay. So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Deep Dive in Lovecraft Country. I am Kat, and I am addicted to Lovecraft. I wore my lip in honor of Letty, and I wore my skin tone in honor of Ruby. So this is why I'm here.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Over to you. So let me just talk to China, because China is an actress extraordinaire. She's been on our screens for what, 2 decades, 3 decades, maybe. That might be giving away your age. But I'm sorry, girl, you on mute. So I don't even know what you're saying right now. I could just see these facial expressions. But this girl has graced our screens.
I said, I feel so young. Go ahead.
Of course, you look it, baby. So she's graced our screens in Sabrina the Teenage Witch, ER, House. She's going to be in Judas and the Messiah. Judas and the Messiah, upcoming film from Shaka King. Daniel Kaluuya in it. Lakeith White. But really the biggest girl is Tina Shaver. That's my girl. Hesita from the block. I love her. Can we give a round of applause for the best actress in the world? Woo! Yeah. Tell us who you are, Gina.
Oh, tell us who I am. I'm a human being who lives in Spanish Harlem. I love acting. I love the craftsmanship of acting, and I've been fortunate enough to be in a lot of great projects like Shaka King's film Judas and the Black Messiah, which is going to be amazing. It's about Bobby Seale. And that's, he's a national treasure that was not respected.
Wait. You're in that movie?
Mm-hmm. You're so funny. Well, here's the thing. I'm that kind of actor, though. I'm not the type of person who's like, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing this, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm doing this. I'm just I like to ride the wave. And that project, I mean, yes, I wanted to be a part of that project, but Shaka's family. Mm-hmm. And it's big because it's on the big screen, but it's really about village. And I love that that's what we're having right now. And it was I just wanted to be a part of something that's going to be monumental in his life. But the writing is the acting is the actors, I mean, it's going to be something special. So I'm
imagine.
Yeah. So
I love it. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Sorry, guys.
I didn't know what you said.
As we're back to each other, as we've done these introductions, and you know who we are, we're now going to kind of break down one of the best programs. I'm not even going to say one of. Right now, Lovecraft Country is the best program I've seen on TV, mainly because of the centering of African spirituality and Black freedom and what Black freedom can look like and our integral power, right? Our inner power, and really letting our inner power take center stage and lead us to freedom of all sorts, lead us to freedom of generation.
Wait a second. I'm so sorry. Judas and the Messiah is about Fred Hampton. I just was like, wait, I said Bobby Seale. Okay, go ahead. Because I don't want to get cursed out because that's an important person that's been under. Okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No worries. It's fine. It's Sunday morning and it's been a little bit, crazy. So, what I really love about this program is that it really is about Blackness and Blackness in all forms that we find it. And it's interrogating it and it's asking us to interrogate ourselves too, right? So, in this interrogation of self, I want you guys to, first of all, let's start off softly. Let's ease people into our opinionated self. Okay. So tell me, which of the characters do you guys resonate with more? Who's the one that you really resonate with more? And I don't want to hear no creep shit because I know you two got a little crush on a certain someone. What
crush? We appreciate the creation of the person and the character, and we can differentiate the two. I'm just saying.
It's not a crush. It's a full-blown obsession, and I stand by that. Thank you very much.
Okay, so now we're going into the obsessive-compulsive disordered world of my friend. So over to you, Kat. Tell me, what is the character that resonates with you most in Lovecraft Country?
So it's actually a mix between Tick and Ruby. Tick because you see him fighting with all this childhood trauma he's experienced and the way our parents think they're doing the best for us and how it sort of comes up. But then you also see this undeniable loyalty we have to our parents. So even though he's definitely been abused by Montrose, there's definitely this space of, I need to go and make sure my dad's okay. And so I can relate to that push and pull. For me, Ruby also is important for me because she is simultaneously seen and ignored at the same time. Like she's got this big, beautiful body and she's got this big energy. She's got all of these talents and she's super smart. And it like people don't realize the gem that she is. Like, so she walks around being this full thing that is constantly ignored. And so what, her journey so far, like, it doesn't surprise me that she's where she is because this is what happens when, big, energy women, don't get a place to kind of just be appreciated. So those are the two that kind of resonate with me right now.
Okay, so you got a twofer.
Yeah.
Chena, over to you. Which character resonates with you the most?
You know what? I'm going to be honest with you, and it could be the Gemini in me. I don't think that there's one character. I think there's everyone I can relate to. When I look at the dad, a lot of times, first of all, we have post-traumatic trauma. And then aside from that, like, trauma really defines, when you look at most of us, especially Black people, our trauma is really what is the pulse of our triggers. And like, you can't, like, even when you look at the father, there's a moment where he's explaining when you have your own child, you'll understand. So that kind of reiterates how much he loves his son Tick. And then you have Tick, who has gone through a lot, but has been exposed to a world, and that's the actor in me, of like another realm in terms of his reading. And actually a lot of the things, in my opinion, that he reads is a manifestation of what he's attracted in his own life. So then there's that.
Wow. Okay.
I really look at that. Like when I see, it's the same thing, when I look at Letty, and it's so weird. I was talking to a friend. She was like, who does Letty remind you? And I was like, Judy Garland. She was like, what? And I was like, yeah, because there's this thing of you're passionate about what you do, but you always have to show up and show up and show up and show up, and you don't have a break. But people don't understand that, which is not their job to understand that story. And then you have I mean, I've been in an interracial relationship. So then you have this dynamic of like, you know, you're exploring what love is with no boundaries. But at the same time, there are certain triggers because I know when I walk out the house and when the person I was dating walks out the house, we're going to have two completely different experiences. And it's really about the balance of who has your back. And I've told you guys, I think I've told you guys before, or gals before, that, you know, I had an experience where someone was talking about children, and when they referred to him, they were like, oh, your children are going to be so beautiful. I mean, look at his eyes, look at his hair.
Oh, wow.
And they were like, and then you're beautiful. And I'm like, okay, see, what we not going to do today is, he was like, let me handle this. And I was like, okay, because if you don't, then they're going to get it from me. So I think there's an array of characters in terms of, I understand the dynamic of doing the best that you can from your level of awareness in the world. Because I mean, I hate to say being Black isn't easy, because that's something that we always hear. But to be honest with you, unless you know the texture, the layer, and the struggle is real, you don't, and it doesn't matter what complexion you are. The struggle is real across the board, whether it's texture, when you talk about hair texture, or you talk about colorism, when you talk about all of these things. I feel like I can pull from all of the characters because they allow me, and that's what I love about watching the series and binge watching on it. It allows me to really evaluate my own demons that most people might not know. But when I'm having that shower moment and I'm having that insecure moment, I'm like, oh yeah, I did go through that. Or yeah, someone did think I was weird because I'm listening to freaking Nirvana, and that's not, I'm not supposed to listen to Nirvana, but at the same time I'm listening to Fela. But you know, and that's how I see Tick. So I think with all that, I can't really say that there's one character. I feel like what I love about the series is it allows me to evaluate the type of individual I want to be. And I thought I've already explored that. Because there's so much trauma, and there's so much room to look out for one another and call yourself out. And say, okay, you know what? I might not go through this, but they go through this, and I need to look out for them for that. So I'm going to speak on their behalf.
Right.
The beauty of community and village. And I think in a very subtle way, that's what the series does. It shows you community, because you have issues where you're like, really, we're going to do this today? Like, you just beat the shit out of me. You told me not to be soft. And then I like, okay, you had all these skeletons in the motherfucking closet. Really?
Right.
But like, you know, as a culture, we all we got.
Yeah.
You got to kind of figure it out. So sorry, I can't give you one. But if you told me,
so all of them kind of resonate with you, and it's true. I think that's the complexity of life and people, right? There's parts of the people that you just like I love, and parts of people that you really don't like. And I think for me, I kind of changed. I think today, this morning, I'm thinking about Dee. I'm thinking about Dee because I feel like she was incredibly neglected for her to get caught by Bopsy and Topsy, and I was irritated that whole episode.
Can I just say something?
That's how she got caught.
But in terms of projection, Boxy and Toxie, if you remember when it was the death of her best friend and she ran off, there were two girls. I think they were eating ice cream.
Yeah.
And she said, there's nothing to laugh about. And she threw, I think, a rock at them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the projection. Well, you helped me with this, Kat. Also, when you talked about the book.
Yeah.
But I think it's the projection of, she got twins because she was projecting her anger on two girls that were living their best life, but that probably couldn't relate to the pain that she was going through with the best friend. And sometimes in life we do that. We like project something, and you know, someone, even though they're living their best life and they might not relate, I don't think we should inflict anger or like animosity towards them, even though it was a big thing. Like, who didn't know about the death of her best friend? I don't know if that makes sense in terms of me thinking she's projecting, and that's why she got the twins, and that's why like they're now haunting her, because maybe it's an internal demon that she's not even dealing with.
I mean, I think that episode with Dee was very powerful. And I think for me, what resonated with it was that I think every Black girl, well, let me say most Black girls will probably remember the moment where they realized nobody was coming to save them. And it was probably in this prepubescent space of like 8 or 9, maybe 10 years old, where you realized that if you didn't stand up and fight, your ass, that was going to be it.
Yeah.
And so for me, watching her need help and her signs for help, because of the curse, she can't speak on it. But watching her need help and no one being able to pick up that she's in distress, despite the fact that her best friend just died. Like that scene where Letty is walking off and she's like coughing, and I'm like, yo, I swear to God, I want to punch Letty right in the face. So the idea that we know that she's already triggered because of the way her best friend has died, the fact that because of the time frame and the decision by Emmett Till's mom to have an open casket, that on that hot day, the body is basically decomposing, and she's having to smell her friend's dead body. The reality is that she was going to be traumatized either way. She was either going to be traumatized by watching her friend go through this thing, or she was going to be traumatized. Like if she had stayed there, it was unfortunate, but that was her day of reckoning. That was her initiation day. That was the day when she got right when she was based.
Is that her initiation into Black womanhood?
Yeah, because it's a heartbreaking thing to say, and it's a heartbreaking thing to realize. But I remember how old I was when I realized that nobody was coming to save me, and I was 5. So
I had the same reckoning around there too.
So that was a hard episode to watch.
And I think it's why I kind of champion D in a way, because it's like, I can see you. I can see you. I'll protect you. I'll help you. You know what I mean? That others are so wound up in their own shit that they're just going in circles instead of really protecting what needs to, which is, the main components of Lovecraft Country is about legacy and lineage. Right. So if you're not protecting future generations, how does your lineage carry forward? And
her mother's gone. Remember that her mother's absent.
Right.
And that's also part of the narrative here, that because her father has died, her mother is gone. And so there are all of these, her protectors are not, her natural protectors are just not there.
Yeah. It was quite harrowing for me, because I wanted to reach in and beat everyone up and then just take her in somewhere. And I couldn't. But again, I think it was because sometimes there's parts of her narrative which were my narrative at some times, and waiting for the hero. We are the heroes. We're the ones we're waiting for, right? So as we kind of move through, go ahead, Gina.
No, I was going to say, I think it also is the importance of unity in parents. Because I think, as a society, we don't, okay, let me rephrase. I'll speak for myself. In my life, I haven't seen a lot of Black fathers and Black mothers that created these Black children being together. And she was perfectly fine when her dad was around and when her mom was around. It wasn't until that union was broken that it really started to get real. So I think I don't know, I'm not in the writer's room, but I think that might be another subconscious narrative in terms of the importance of union. Because listen, Letty, yes, I was like, Letty, really, is this what we're doing? Because you know how that is. You just gave a whole monologue about your mother and you waiting by the window and everything that you were going through, like, really? But at the end of the day, I have not been graced yet to be pregnant, but I'm real interesting on my period. So she's pregnant. I just think, like, sometimes you're just in your own world, and sometimes if you don't have the union where it's like, okay, we need to like make sure, like, coming together to dinner, if my memory serves correctly, they had dinner together, and it seems like they had breakfast based on Tick making breakfast every morning. So that unity, I think it's about union being broken, and I think that is a specific narrative in terms of us on a broad scale as a Black culture. And when I say Black culture, I don't just mean African American. I mean in a larger scale, because a lot of times we point the finger at so many different areas, and at the end of the day, that slave ship didn't discriminate. It just made certain stops. One was the 50 states, and then it went all these other places. And I think it's about us finding the fabric of being united again. And when we're not united, we don't understand when someone is going through something and they need our help. Not to mention, she's a child. She's exploring like her hormones. She's exploring her voice, which is like her little, I shouldn't say little, but her narratives in terms of her storytelling. Not to mention, she manifested her mom's future. So it's like, a lot of times we need to pay attention to everyone, but also children. Yeah, I'm one of those weird law of attraction people. So I really think the younger someone is, they probably know a lot more than we do. And like the fact that she like manifested that whole thing on the episode I Am of her mom, that's some next, or maybe it was her mom's subconscious thoughts of what her child has reinforced. But I think it's an interesting thing of how we're all connected and how imperative it is for us to check in with one another. Because when we don't, then everything kind of gets scattered. I don't know.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting though, because as an eldest child, what I saw in Letty was typical youngest child behavior, where you get to pick and choose the things that you're concerned with. And so, yeah, I can sit in the window and reflect on how my mom, you know, didn't show up or whatever, but I don't have the capacity to be empathetic to this child who's just lost her, whose mother is gone, who just lost her best friend in that moment, pregnant or not. I was like, yeah, this is some youngest child behavior. This is what happens when, you know, she's newly responsible for something. You remember, Letty's been able to bounce around all over God's creation and to get money from her family and do whatever she wants to do. She's just now coming into a space where she has to sit still and take responsibility for the world around her and the life that's living in her. So as the eldest, I had to just say that.
You know what?
I get you, and
that because I'm an only child. I'm not an only child. I grew up an only child. We don't need to get into that, but I grew up an only child. So I don't know that. I only know based on. So yeah, I think that's important. Thank you.
So, you know, I wanted to kind of, you know, this is a deep dive, right? And so this is about getting deep, and this is about us like really exploring our whole imaginations and how this amazing program that God bless Misha Green has given us, as well as what she gave us with Underground. I honestly, I want to kiss you, Misha. Thank you. Right. I want to kiss you. And I want to
kiss her. I mean, I don't know physically if you can kiss her, but you can do
an energetic kiss. So I
think as Black women, I appreciate all of us coming together because Misha Green, I mean, I do know. I think I know. I don't think I hear her name enough.
Well, I'm going to say every day. Misha
Green.
That's
what I'm saying. That's why I appreciate this because Misha Green is a powerful force. And she does deserve to be celebrated because that's a brilliant.
She needs a statue. I've been saying it. Can we get up and please? A statue. And I wanted to kind of touch upon us giving flowers to people who ignite our imaginations, right? And the thing is that what I've loved about Misha's work is that she centers African spirituality, our ancestors, our pathways to freedom as Black people, using our ancestral technologies, using our ingenuity, all the things that we have that no one gives us. None of it's external. It's all what we have internally. It's all what we've been given by blood. It's all what we've been given through resilience, through our ingenuity. And so, you know, are there any parts of Lovecraft Country that you guys think could have been done better? Because Misha actually released a tweet saying that the two-spirit character Yamia, please don't hate me if I got that wrong, or Yehemia, she felt like she didn't represent her as fully as she could be because she wanted to show how people who are oppressed can oppress others. And so I don't know, what's your thought about, is there any parts of Lovecraft Country that could have been done better?
So this is me being like, I don't know if it's petty, but the scene where they initially have to go and sort of spiritually fumigate the house because of that crazy man that used to live there. The priestess, if I remember correctly, was wearing something that was Ethiopian. She had like this New Orleanian accent, and it was, and you know, I mean, she did the work that she needed to do because killing the goat was probably necessary. But even just the way that the animal sacrifice was done, the way, like all of that to me lacked a certain amount of respect and nuance for how sacrifices are done.
Right.
It was all, you know, and I get it. We're in a situation where things are rushed, but you didn't even have all the elements present. Like it's like there are some things there that just kind of struck me as what we think witchy is.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wish that had been done better. I thought it was powerful. I mean, even just the idea of the chant that I think they did it in Creole, if I remember correctly, to kind of pull all the energy together. It was a little all over the place. Yeah. And as a hoodoo, you know, as a roots woman, I get that there are different systems that you pull from, but that particular scene sits uncomfortably with me because there's, you know, it was like, all right, let's kill a goat, let's go.
Yeah,
Boom.
let's
And I'm
just
like,
throw it
you
all
know,
in there. And
throw it all in there. And
yeah.
and so
our
that part
traditions have
was,
rituals, they have processes, and we have to respect them. Everybody knows that. Well,
and the other piece of this is that, well, but part of the other system, the other aspect of it is that at the time that they are existing in the 1950s, there's continued mass migration from the South. So I felt a hoodoo woman
yeah,
would
be on point.
Right, because no, I mean, not that you can't be in Chicago in the 50s and practice voodoo. I think that that's absolutely possible. But there was something in that particular presentation where I felt like we could have gotten some really great sense of African American spirituality and spiritual practices. And I felt like the default to the mishmash of, you know, the voodoo, you know, witch woman, kind of, it fell short.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. China, over to you. What part of Lovecraft has really fallen short for you, or just didn't resonate, or could have been, you know, done better?
I don't want to be a goody two shoes. Here's the weird thing about saying that, but I do think your cat, honestly, we're talking about, because you know, Santeria, I know it very well. Well, not very well, but I know it well enough. And I was married to a Haitian, so yeah, I get it. The reason why I hesitate on saying why I think it could have been done better, and it has nothing to do with me being an actor or secretly hashtag Misha Green, holla at your girl. It's more about, I don't think there's been a lot of exposure to a narrative like this. So for me, it's just like with Insecure, when people were like really hard on Insecure. And I was like, yeah, but we don't really see narratives like that. And mind you, I'm not even talking about my own narrative. I still haven't seen my narrative like represented, but I don't want, when Simone and I had this conversation last night, I'm very sensitive in terms of picking apart something as opposed to having a celebratory moment and like, okay, you're doing it, because I think we have enough people in the world that are like, you did this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. So I think for what it's worth, considering the narrative, I mean, they're talking about like witchcraft, magic, being black. It's a period piece. I think they're doing a really, thus far, a really great job. And I'm not kissing ass. I think, well, people on Instagram or Facebook or whoever's watching this, they don't know me, so they don't know that that's not what I do. But but Kat, that was, I mean, if there was ever a point, I'm gonna go with you on that one. Like, yes, you are correct. I can't hear you.
Right, and I think, and this is the thing that we have to be careful of, because this happens often, and it's small little things. Like the amount of energy that it took to research all of the historical, you know, the historical glitter that it sprinkled through. Like people research that. So what I would like to see is that the amount of energy that you take to research all of these other things, you could have done the same amount of research in this space. And there is a tendency that we don't talk enough about, where when we're dealing with Africa, apparently, because it's still not a country, but we're dealing with Africa, that there is this sort of, you know,
just throw
it all together and, you know, put the accent on it and
on the face.
Right. And so I would really, that's the one place where I feel like we could do better. The other thing again is that there is a very strong hoodoo practice in this country that is born from,
Can I say it's Hoodoo Heritage Month in October?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's Hoodoo Heritage Month. So like hoodoos, we love you.
So I feel like that was also, for me, it was a missed opportunity to actually ground that magic in the fact that this is what hoodoo is, what happens when enslavement and mass incarceration and throwing people out of the world happens. So why not let that be the thing that lives? Because there was such a great opportunity for that. I mean, yeah.
And it's a very big part of, which I don't think is a part of a big narrative when we talk about slavery. Like even like, you know, Santeria, you know, I live in Spanish Harlem. So like, you know, it's a predominantly Puerto Rican based place, but I would say my neighborhood isn't really big on Africanism. But when you look at Santeria, like that is the drums and the
everything's African.
The heart of where it comes from. But where the other dynamic of that comes from. I mean, I'm not Puerto Rican, I'm Dominican. Well, I'm a couple things, but Dominican is the culture in which I grew up in, and was submerged in. But when you look at things, that's why I love, Tiro Puente or like Celia Cruz. They were very cognizant of constantly enforcing, like, it's the Africanism that really instilled, the drums you like to move your hips to, and maybe you got pregnant by, or like all these other things, like those are imperative things to reinforce. I feel you on that, because I think when it comes to voodoo, when it comes to magic, when it comes to honoring new moons, full moon, solstice, all of this stuff, it's kind of frowned upon, because we still have this negative connotation of it's something evil. But when we really look at the origin of where we come from, melanin people come from, we were not praising a Jesus. My mom's a Christian. She's probably going to be very angry at what I'm about to say, but that's the beauty of family, daughter challenging mother. But, that wasn't the seed that was planted in terms of why we became what we became, and how we were able to endure slavery for so many years. And I do think, even though I don't want to say this because I do love Lovecraft, but I'm going to say what you said, Kat, it's true. It's imperative to reinforce our origin of how we celebrated the earth, the sun, the moon, listening to our guiding spirits. I don't think the North Star was an accident. That wasn't an American thing. The North Star was about probably our ancestors whispering to us in dreams and in other forms, saying, listen, you need help? We started with the sun, the moon, the north, the south, the east, the west. Let's do. So I do think that it's imperative to reinforce narratives like that, especially when you're dealing with magic and brujeria. I consider. I mean, I don't consider myself a witch, but I have to. There's been enough people who called me a witch, and I booked a job, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, where I played a witch. So, I mean, when all signs are pointing, you guys.
There's only witches in these streets. Only witches in these streets.
But I mean, Kat, thank you for mentioning that, because I do think that that's imperative, because that's a part of our history. And that's it's just like when you meet someone and you're like, because Black people, we do not have a censor. Like, even if it's in our face and a kid is screaming and we're like, you're not going to handle that right there, we ain't saying nothing. We just gave you a look. Like, that's part of our rhythmic Bible of getting through the world. We don't really operate in terms of, hey girl, how you doing? And then talk shit about you behind your back. We don't do that. It's very, well, I mean, some of us do that, but for the most part, it's very much like, can I talk to you for a second? So XYZQW, but I think like the origin of that comes from just a spirituality where you can feel an energy and you're like, this is a tug and I'm not feeling this. And I want to amputate that negative, whatever that is. And I want to move forward to be like, so like, I thought a beautiful moment was when she was talking to these dead Black people and was like, you are not dead yet. Like, and I think that's where we, even as a people, we're not dead. We walk on the back of our ancestors. So sometimes it's like, okay, let's like get together. Like, I'm not trying to make this political. Listen, some people weren't my main choice, but we in some trying times. And this is a time we need to like come together and be like, look, all we got is us. Let's do this. We got one person, we don't got the other, but let's like make it happen. Because energetically, So get up, do what you need to do. And we need to show up for each other so much more, my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. But I do think, that's why I'm thankful that you did this, Simone, because we need to show up for one another and understand we have to agree. Like, I didn't agree with you about something that was a very triggering topic. When we're
gonna broach that. It's coming. There's no way we're gonna just skip over it.
We can all have a kumbaya moment.
Yeah, well, I was about to say, I don't do kumbaya. I do. Let's get into let's excavate and let's pile on the healing with the good stuff. That's what I do. Okay. And so, yes, the reason why I thought that it was really important to bring back Ancestrally Speaking, because we've been on a bit of a hiatus, and talk about Lovecraft Country, is because it's doing what I've wanted our creative work, our creative content, Black-led content to do, which is to reignite our interest, our vision, our focus on African spirituality and our pathways to freedom. And I think Misha Green has consistently done that. I think if you watch Underground, you can see it there. If you watch Lovecraft Country, you can see it there. She is giving us a map. And she's doing it in ways that, you know, I don't feel preached at. I feel like I feel the love oozing off of her content to try and change me in ways that really will change my.
Uh-oh. You're mute. You're muted. You're muted. Okay. Hey, everybody. I don't know what's going on. You're muted. You're muted, Chena. Okay. I don't know what happened to Simone. Chena, you're muted. Can you hear me, Chena? You're muted.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I can't hear you.
Okay.
So I guess I don't want to speak for her. So I was like, I don't know. But I do think, Misha Green has done a great job. Misha Green has done a great job as far as reinforcing, remembering where you came from.
Yes. And I think
now Simone has left the building, but she'll be back.
She'll be back. I think the other piece, though, is that there's an innateness that's part of this. So what I appreciated about the scene where we had the great sort of exorcism was that when Letty was left alone, when she was the last one standing, she intuitively knew what she needed to do to reanimate those other ancestors who were in this limbo because of the way they had died. And she helped put them back together and allowed them to go. So
the guy who had a baby head.
Yeah.
If you notice, when they were gathering hands, he didn't have a baby head anymore.
Right.
And that back in their original form, saying,
right. And that was because, and the other piece of that, though, is that speaks to what ancestral worship, ancestral reverence is all about. They gain power in being remembered. So remember, if you go back to the scene before we go to the house, she has all of their names. She calls them by name. And when they come into this space, they're misformed. But over the course of the ritual, they find their original body parts and they become whole again. So even that the relationship between the living and the dead, and how it's the living's responsibility to call the names of our ancestors so that they are empowered to show up for us, I thought was brilliant. I thought that was absolutely brilliant.
I'm sorry. I say agreed, but I did not have that epiphany until you just said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really, which I think it's important for us to know our history,
right.
Which is, and basically that's another reinforcement in saying that, because you're right. When you say someone's name, a name is called spelling, and spells, "Hey girl, how you doing?" And there's power in words.
You Mercury.
Mercury is wearing you out.
Clearly.
But we have it down.
That's how you're just coming for me. Okay, fine.
No, it's not just coming for you. It comes for us in different ways.
Well, it came for me in part of my monologue. Anyway, go on.
Wait, yeah, no. Say what you were going to say, because you did.
I'm so twisted upside down, I forgot. So we're going to have to just
that part. Okay. Figure that one out.
Yeah, I think so. What we were talking about was how, you were saying how Misha Green does this great job of like reminding us of all of the ancestral space. But I was saying that what I appreciated about the scene of the exorcism was that when Letty was left to her own devices, when she was just her, she instinctively knew. Remember, she had already researched the people that had been gone missing. She called them by name. And so that important connection between the living and the dead is there, because ancestral reverence is needed. We have to remember them in order for them to be empowered and to do what they need to do. And so when she calls them by name, they're able to finally reanimate themselves and, go on to the next space. But I thought that was the part that I really appreciated about that scene. Even though I had misgivings about the way that scene started, by the end, when Letty is able to instinctively know what she needs to do, no one told her what to do. She just instinctively knew, call on these people. And she did that. And that is how they were able to banish that little demon man away, to the far reaches of hell. So there's a lot of power in the way that Misha Green juxtaposes things. Because in that scene, she's showing you the brutality in the way that, eugenics and Black experimentation works, but she's also showing you the power that is inherent in these Black characters, because Black people are inherently of the divine. And so the journey that they've had in a lot
Can we say that again? That was a quote of the day. Black people are inherently of the divine. Yeah. Please just repeat that. Just Black so people. In the cheap seats, they don't, in the cheap seats. I'm not sure they got that.
Please. Black people are inherently of the divine. Like, that's, to me, this is why
Sunday morning, please give it to us.
Why we're targeted so much, because there is an understanding. I mean, I need y'all to understand the beauty of Lovecraft is that she is simultaneously showing you the potential of Black magic being this endless thing, this big depth of this, anything's possible, and at the same time showing you the fear white people have, which is why they want to control it. And so the fact that the only way for you to get to the Garden of Eden is through the blood of a Black man,
and is why they want to use it.
Right. And so,
by the way, I mean, the season finale is today, but I think that's going to go on a whole nother level, because the last time someone tried to use him to kill him,
right,
to give them everlasting life, his mama was like, guess what we're not doing today.
Right.
So I think that's going to be very interesting in narrative. And his mom, it just goes to show you, like, at least for, I mean, I know I go through this a lot. I'll have a smell and it will remind me of my abuela. There's certain like colors or something, and I'm like, oh wow, my grandfather's here. The fact that she told Letty she was pregnant, she was like, hey girl, hey, you pregnant. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And like she helped him like get out of that scenario. It just goes to show you that sometimes when you surrender, it's a beautiful way where your ancestors kind of give you those whispers to guide you. We got you. You might not think you're going to get through this. You're going to get through this.
Right.
Because
but
I mean, not to make it like a hashtag or like a thing, but Black, and it's not even like an anti-white thing. It's just when you look at the receipts, Black people are really magic. I mean, it makes no sense how we've been able to get through, not even the self-hate that a lot of Black people have within themselves or have with one another, whether it's African American versus like a Black Dominican versus like whatever. We still get through it. Like, that's not an easy thing to like overcome. Like, we're still going through like things, and for whatever reason, ancestors are like, I know this is complicated, but we got you. You're gonna figure it out. And I just think that's a beautiful. Sometimes when you don't have representation, I mean, for right now in my life, I don't necessarily need representation to validate me as an individual, but as a child, it was very difficult. How beautiful is it that these Black children are getting these validations of how powerful and amazing they are?
Right.
Like, that's.
But it here's the thing. I think it depends, because part of what we have to work through. So like some of the criticisms that some of the reactions that I've seen is that it's hard to watch. I personally do not find it hard to watch. Like, I wasn't scared. Episode 3 didn't freak me out, because I was like, all right, that's what you're supposed to do. And so what I'm hoping it does is that it opens people up to think a little bit more about what, how our ancestors commune with us, whether we call them or not. I feel like they're there. And okay, Simone's up the building again. And so that part is important. And so it is an opportunity, I think, in the way that Misha Green is pushing this knowledge out, is that there is something inherent in how we communicate with the other side, that it doesn't require, like, notice, no one has had to, the first time we see a church is Letty's praying to God because she's scared or whatever, but no one has gone to see the pastor, or there has not been an organized.
There's no shade to that. Everyone has their process, but when you, in my opinion, when you surrender, you ain't got to do all that. Hey, Simone. Hey, girl. Hey.
I know. We're on behalf of Mercury. My bad.
Yeah, but I think what you're saying is it's very powerful. It's just like sometimes you don't know how something's going to work out, and it just works out. But you're right. No one has had to. And even when she went to the church, if my memory serves me correctly, after she made the deal with giving the negatives, she looked back like, really?
Right.
Because she was asking for help, and I guess she didn't get the help that she thought she was going to get.
Well, the reality, though, is that, Letty and how she's moving in the world it's a bit different, right? So you have the man that she's with is magical because of his blood. They're discovering, like, when we think about the timeline, all of this is taking place over the space of maybe a month or so, where they're being sort of forced into this understanding that magic is real, that they have access to it, that these white people are out here trying to hoard it. Like in true sort of white supremacist form, you come in, you take, you steal, and then you decide that it's going to be yours. And so Letty, is always, and she says repeatedly throughout the episodes that her and church have never got along. Her mother has made her go, but church has never, resonated with her. So that is another, like, really, I think, cool little sort of Easter egg, as it will. There's a lot of us that church can feel good sometimes, but only because the singing is great, not necessarily because we are resonating with the message. And so I think there's a way that she's accessing God that doesn't require all these pastors. It's a direct connection. And I think that's the part that I love most about the way people are finding themselves.
You didn't hear me. I was saying agreed. Yeah, that resonates very well with me in terms of just the narrative of that story. I forgot Letty said she didn't have the best relationship when it came to church. And then her mom would say she was going to church, but she wasn't really going to church.
Right.
Yeah, that's... Hi, Simone. You can unmute yourself. Hello.
Yeah, unmute yourself.
Fine, it is what it is. You want to know what you've taught people? Well, I don't know if you taught people. That's a strong comment. But it's just about people having people's back. Like, at the end of the day, stuff happens. You got to keep it moving. So it's fine. You're good. Unmute yourself. How you doing?
I'm good. Give me 2 minutes. Let me fix my...
Okay, sorry. Mute yourself.
Okay.
Back to what we were saying.
Okay, right. So, I mean, what other elements of it, as far as the ancestral connection, are you seeing?
To be honest with you, I'm guessing this is ancestral, but it's kind of a weird thing because now we're dealing with, well, she was dealing with the past and the future, but the episode of I Am,
right,
in terms of finding, understanding your strength and your power, that is an episode I think I have to watch a couple of times because I feel like that is an ancestral thing. It's not the usual suspects of when we think ancestral, but for me, it's about owning your power and who and what you want to be. The moment she had the conversation with her husband, and they really had, and that's a beautiful thing about bonding. It was like, I sacrificed myself, but I don't think you ever really, I mean, maybe this, I don't think this is my interpretation. So it's not a misinterpretation because my interpretation was both parties were responsible. For one, you said, okay, this is what I'm going to do, knowing that you had so much more to give. I mean, like she even said for the Green Book, it's not like he's writing the stuff for doing the final cut for the Green Book. He's giving her notes.
Right.
And then she's executing it and saying, this is why this is a safe space. These are the bullet points in terms of what you may be looking for and why you might want to go here. But she's never herself gone there. So she sacrificed so much. And he's allowed her to sacrifice because this allowed him to live his best life and allowed her to stifle the beauty and I think as Black women, that's a lot what we go. I mean, I can't tell you how many people I've dated that have been like, why are you so tough? And I'm like, because it's only me.
Right.
And I got me. So I don't know if that made sense in terms of the ancestral, because it doesn't make sense in terms of the I Am episode, but I think that is ancestral because ancestral isn't always going back. Sometimes and for me, it's about going forward.
So when I look at the I Am episode, there's so many amazing components of it. So I'm going to try to, because in my head, there's so many things. So I'm going to try to bring it back. So one of the things that strikes me about that I Am episode that I haven't really seen anybody talk about is that the decisions that Hippolyta makes in terms of where she goes always involve women. The wisdom, the battles, the fights, the, you know, let me teach you this, you know, loosen up here, have a little smoke. It's all in the company and the space of women. And that to me felt like the kinds of initiations that secret society of women's groups go through, where within the confines of that, where there are no men to distract, women can find support and love, innovation. They can sort of express themselves. They can have coded language. That line between her and Josephine Baker, where she feels like an asteroid, a comet, but she's also exhausted. That's something that only a few people can understand. And I felt like this collective, like clutch pearl, heavy breathed sigh from the collective space of Black women when she said that line, because I felt like we all knew what it was like, what she meant by you're shining so bright and you're exhausted at the same time. The other piece to that that I thought was important was that there, you know, in a lot of indigenous traditional communities, and I initially think in, you know, of indigenous communities in this country, there was an understanding that when women were on their menses, that was a sacred time, and they would go off and be taken care of. And they sat in that tent or that wigwam or whatever that was for however long. You didn't work through it because that was a time that was your way of resting. There was a respect for the sacredness of the womb. And so there is a lot for me in terms of the messaging around the sacred space that women hold for each other, that only women can hold for each other. And that can expand, you know, to include all kinds of women. But in terms of how women hold space for each other, the I Am episode was really important because if you pay attention, she goes to the husband last. So she goes through all of these spaces of wisdom gathering, and it requires her communing with women. And it's not until she goes into, and it's through all of that she understands this is what my issue is with you. The other piece to this that needs to be said is that it's
yes, Professor Okedyi,
sorry.
we are in session.
I got to get this out. The other piece to this, the episode between that moment between her and George is really, really important because the way that Black manhood has conditioned itself, and I'm not even going to give it just to white people for doing this, but this nonsensical idea where you understand the importance of balance, you understand the importance of women because it's only everybody got to pass the woman to get here, but you don't respect that. And you use the spaces of, oh, well, this is dangerous for you and all of these things. He knew his wife was smarter than him. He knew that she was much more brilliant. And he was complicit in dampening her light under the guise of it's for your protection. And so imagine if she had been able to have that conversation while George was alive, what their life would have looked like. Because the pairing of Hippolyta and George is very radical, in my opinion, in the way that they commune with each other. He very much accepts and respects her brilliance, but he also uses the environment to contain her. And at the same time, her daughter is the next generation.
Can you say those words again? Can you say those words again? He uses the environment and the time to contain her.
Yeah.
A woman or a Black woman.
But at the same time, he does do that, but I don't think, and I'm not
No,
defending.
I get what you're saying. I get where you're going.
I don't think it's a conscious, and the only reason why I say this is because I don't know what episode this is. There's another episode where he goes, you know, I've been thinking the next time we do this, maybe we can do it together.
But you remember, that's because he thinks he's going to die. That's because they're in a space where things are really hectic.
That is true. That is
and he's
true.
having a moment like, well, maybe I didn't do things the right way. So in the shadow of death, the potential of death, that's when he's like, oh, you know, maybe.
Okay. But then
call her to help you.
No. I get that. But like, to be fair, because at the end of the day, like, we have sexuality, but the reality of it is we're all human beings, and it's all energy, and it's the energy that we've been reinforced in programming of how we're supposed to operate. So listen, Kat, you know, I got you.
No, I mean,
right.
You don't have to agree.
At the same point, I do think no. I mean, but I love you. But
I love you too.
But I am someone, and mind you, there is a guy in my life that I have not had this moment with yet, so I'm still working on it. Is it fair to judge someone's process, even if it's manipulated for the better process of them? because I don't think he's coming from a selfish place. I genuinely think he loves his wife.
No,
And
I
think
agree.
he's
I
a
think he does.
product of environment and programming. And I'm not making a difference because I already know Simone. I'm ready for you, Simone. I'm not ready for you, but I already know what I think you're going to say. But I'm not making an excuse for men because that's not even in my program.
Right.
But I do acknowledge the human pulse. And the human pulse, I don't know. Yes, you're right. And I'm not going to lie. I do think he had that epiphany because he knew he was about to die. However, sometimes we can be tainted by something and not realize that that's manipulating our judgment on a lot of choices that we made. But there's some men who are just like, you're an asshole. And then there's some people that it's like, you're doing the best that you can, again, by your level of perception. And it wasn't until it took something like that for him to perceive something on a whole nother level. I'm going to put up on mute, and then you're going to have your hallelujah moment because you've been having a lot of hallelujah moments, and I'm here for it.
Okay. So respectfully, I disagree. Partly because, well, here's the thing.
Okay, wait. I know Simone's feeling you right now on that. She's like, thank you, Pat.
I'm being tongue in cheek. I'm being tongue in cheek. But so part of this is my thing. What I love about Lovecraft is all three men are some reading ass men. They spend a lot of time in books. Their sense of intellect, emotional, intelligence is coming from all of the things that they read. So they are not that that typical brother who may just like from 9 to 5 or 8 to sun up and sundown is working, who may not have other things feeding how he sees the world. George knows that he is limiting. I believe that George is not manipulative, but I do believe that he knows for his own selfish reasons, because he loves his wife and he wants her to be there when she gets home. He is containing her. Yeah. And he used the environment that of racism and all these things to justify that behavior. But I do think that he is smart enough to know that he is operating in a space that isn't cool. And this is a tricky thing for as a black man in the 50s. What do? You want to protect your family, and at the same time, what everybody wants is to be free to be whoever they want to be.
Can I ask a question? Do you think that's programming of what you've been reinforced of what you do? And I'm going to tell you why. So his brother, who's clearly gay, his wife, who he was in love with, and has his picture in his wallet. I ain't going to get into that. Because if that was my husband, I'd be like, we need to talk. She died, but we really need to talk. She married his brother to protect the brother. Mm-hmm. Knowing that she was in love with this other person. Not Simone, I'm not making an excuse for men. I'm just saying, or let me rephrase, I'm not making an excuse for black men. I'm just saying, is it that there's a narrative that is which I think we still have this narrative of what black women do in terms of like, we're supposed to do that. Like, we're fucking Little Magic. And I'm like, when did we become like, in Living Colors, Little Magic? I gotta play the drums. I gotta sing. I'm not here for that. I think with her, I mean, I'm just looking at it. If I was like reading a book, when you see the narrative of that's what women, because we didn't have, not to mention black women, but just women in general, we didn't have certain rights. Is it the narrative that's what you feel like that is what a woman is supposed to do? I'm not saying it's right because I'm not.
No, I get what you're saying. So here's my issue, and this is me feeling like we should be better than that. When we talk about the history of black people, specifically in this country, enslavement affected everybody regardless of gender. Black women did get a pass because they were women. And so going into the space of freedom, you already have an understanding within this population that women work, that they protect, that they lead, because whatever the circumstances called for, that's what happened. And one of the biggest mistakes I think as a community that has ever happened within the Black American space is the allowance of this bullshit notion of patriarchy to sit still and sort of take over a space when you know going into it that these women weren't built or conditioned to be in this space just behind the closed doors, hanging out and do whatever. You had Black women having to problem solve and navigate all kinds of social terrors as enslaved people. So when we get free, why now then are you trying to say, oh, we got to be like them, and you as a woman, you got to stay home and you do like, we now start putting all this nonsense in place because it's not like all the Black women that were enslaved worked in the house.
I'm not saying that that's right because I'm not even that woman. But what I'm saying is there comes a point where we embrace the narrative.
We do.
Well, let me rephrase. I don't want to say we. I want to say there's a selective few, and usually those are the majority that support a certain narrative. So that's where if let's say with you, I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to go to brunch. That's not vegan. I'm not a vegan, by the way, but I'm just saying hypothetically. And I set that bar. At the end of the day, then you understand. Sheena's really not trying to go to anything that isn't a vegan restaurant. I think it's the same thing in terms of, and I think that's why I love I Am, because I feel like it's the epiphany of I am responsible, because we're all responsible for our lives, in my opinion.
Right.
I am responsible for the narrative that I've created of saying this is okay. And then they have that conversation, and then he's like, oh yeah, I see you. I don't know if he's like, I see you. I'm seeing you. And I got it. But I think it's imperative, I don't care what race you are. I think in general, as a human being, it's imperative for you to be, I always get shit for it. It's imperative to be clear on who and what you are. Like, I don't do that. Hey girl, how you doing? If I don't fuck with you, I don't fuck with you. But
you have the ability in the 21st century, and because of your foremothers, to establish that understanding. You know, the scene, last week's scene when they went back in time to Tulsa. Do you remember? Misha Green whoever's doing this writing is amazing because the nonverbal cues are off the chain. Do you remember the way? Am I muted? No, I'm not muted. Okay.
No, I remember. I was like, it's her. She's doing it. Like, she's the mastermind of all of this. But go ahead. I'm muting.
So if you go back to that episode, when they jump back time and they end up in Tulsa the day of the massacre, there is a moment where you get a full shot of what that downtown area looks like. And you see all kinds of Black people. There's a scene in the lower left where you see a very rich Black couple with a Black driver who is putting their bags in the car. And as Letty and Tick are walking, Montrose, this was his life. He understood this. He's stuck in the space of bad shit's about to happen and we can't say anything. But for Letty and Tick, this is the first time they have seen Black people be this free in the context of this container. And so the I Am piece is important because what has happened as a result of slavery and Jim Crow and all the other bullshit that white people try to do is that you have literally talked Black people out of their magic, which means that you have talked them out of understanding that we exist in multiple planes and multiple dimensions at the same time.
You said we've talked Black people out of their baggage?
Out of their magic.
Oh, magic.
Yes.
Okay,
and we've also talked them out of understanding, because if you look at any traditional African system, time is not linear. It is
it's circular. It's empirical.
So that means that you are operating in several spaces at the same time. So as I'm sitting here, my ancestors are sitting there, and the people that are coming are over there, and I'm in the center of it, and I can see all of that. So when that particular scene was really important to me, because that was an opportunity for them to see that where you come from, what you come from, was not the thing that you're actually experiencing. Even in the space of that container, Tulsa was an amazing, the potentiality of what Tulsa could have been had it not been interrupted. You know, so that scene, if you all go back and look at that scene, the brilliance of the way that they captured that downtown space is so important.
Because you see to Watchmen also.
Yes.
Because I believe in our earlier conversation, because we actually are friends, so we have conversations outside of like IG. I was telling you that I was surprised that someone stated that they thought that was a part of the comic narrative.
Right.
And they didn't, which when you think about it,
the absurdity of it makes sense, right?
Real. But for Black people, you like, oh, that sounds about right. That's real.
Right.
So you're okay. Dropping down knowledge. Can we change her name to not Cat? We gotta find a new name for this one.
I think that
IG, we gotta find a new name for this one because we're doing hashtag the most. My new character development comparative.
Listen, Lovecraft is like, I'm watching. I literally feel like I'm watching my brain on TV, and I'm here for all of it.
for real. And that's the thing. She's sparking so many parts of us and so many things that we might have even just flashed upon really quickly and not delved into, because life kind of drives us into these different corners of our minds, right? And
well, we
keeps
have
us
too many distractions right now. So like we have too many distractions, whether it is Instagram, and we have all these distractions. And what I love about it is it sucks us in. And it's like, okay, do you know this? Do you know this? Do you know this where you came from? Do you? That's what I. Sorry, but you were talking. I'm gonna shut up. Put myself on mute.
No. So I wanted us to broach the subject of the choices, our character choices. Who's playing who? Because there's no way that we as Black women can have this conversation about Lovecraft Country and not talk about character choices.
Yes.
And the issue and observation of colorism. And this is not to say necessarily that this program is reinforcing colorism, but it is definitely a comment we have to make. It's something we do have to explore, and it's on so many levels.
Casting is reinforcing colorism. It's not. I don't think it's not to say that they're not. When it comes to casting and stuff, it does reinforce colorism.
But
you gotta call a spade. It is.
Okay, but what I want to say on top of that is that I think it's slightly more complex than what we see in a lot of Black-led programming, you know, and also any programming that is to do with Black people or have Black leads. That is usually a dark-skinned Black male and a light-skinned Black woman. The love interest is always a light-skinned or mixed ethnicity Black woman, or, you know, African descent or something like that. Rarely are people who look like skin tones like myself and others are in those positions. We're either the footstool to the person who is the protagonist, or we just don't feature, or we're some kind of accessory. So, Jurnee Smollett, who is doing the fucking most, which is the best job that she can do as Letty, and she's great in her role, and she's qualified to play that role, and I really want that to echo the qualification part. She definitely is. But I know when I saw the trailer and I saw it, I thought, oh, okay, we got this again, a dark-skinned Black man fawning over a light-skinned Black woman. This is the story you want to tell here. But since giving it a chance and watching this program, falling in love with it, I know it's slightly more complex than that. So I want to hear from you guys how the choice of Jurnee Smollett as Letty, which is really the lead, one of the leads, how did it impact you? What did it make you feel and think about? Risi, over to you.
So I love Jurnee Smollett. I think she's a brilliant actress. And I mean, even as a child, Eve's Bayou, she just destroyed that role. She really does. Like, she's one of my favorite characters from that role. She's been fantastic in Underground. I will say that on a very surface level, when a friend and I were watching it was a brother. We were watching the first 2 episodes together, and I was like, you know, I really wish we didn't have to rely on this light-skinned woman, dark-skinned man thing. But I think that knowing that she was in Underground, that Misha Green knows her, it's like you pick the person that you want for the job. The other piece, though, is that whether we want to acknowledge it or not, her lighter skin, her being lighter skinned, for me, makes her narrative around the ability in the 1950s to bounce around in all of these places and flit about and not be grounded in anything as a Black woman in the 1950s. That makes that allowable, because colorism does that. It allows lighter skinned Black people to do things a little differently. And so when you look at what we do know about Letty's character, her flakiness, her inability to stay in one place, the fact that she's kind of, you know, we get the sense that she's like, you know, the mama had a fling or something, and she's kind of the result of that. She's the youngest. there is this space where that casting for the character, it works. It just makes sense.
I totally agree. China, over to you. From the actress's point of view, tell us about how you felt about the casting.
I honestly think that, okay, so it's tricky because I feel like I'm having a red table moment where I'm like, I don't consider myself light skinned, but I don't. But
bring it to the red table.
I don't know. People are like, no, girl, hashtag you are. And I'm like, all my life I had to fight. Anyway, to be honest with you, if I take out colorism, and then we could do a part 2 of colorism, the fact that she did Underground, the layers in the and I'm just speaking as listen, I don't know Journey personally, so I don't know her her research, I don't know her craftsmanship in cultivating a character, but I know what I see on screen, and I know she ain't winging it. So with that being said, I think all the history that she has from Underground, because you have to understand, Letty doesn't know what it's like to be a slave at all. Even if you're the house, I'm gonna stop because I was about to say it, but I'm like, now I'm getting shit about like saying it and not saying it. I'm just trying to figure out what side I'm gonna go to. But like, we all have layers in terms of even not being in slavery and our position in terms of complexion and how we're perceived. Taking that out, just having the layers and the texture of slavery in any form. She's going, not to mention that, I mean, Misha, with us, there's a language I could look at you and you know exactly what I'm saying. So with Misha and Journey, I mean, I'm making an assumption because I'm not around them when they're working, but I would imagine they have a language that they can look at each other. I know I go through that with Shaka. Like, he can look at me and I'm like, oh. Between that and then she's done a series of Underground, there is a different texture based on just like she's literally doing it that she's going to bring to the character on a whole nother level with this. Then, sorry, welcome to New York in Spanish Harlem. It was reinforcing Journey's doing her thing. Go Journey! So I think that she is going to bring something to the table on a whole nother level, in my opinion, based on what she's gone through with Underground. In terms of colorism, for me, it makes sense. And that's something that I was having a discussion with Simone about in terms of, I think, and it's not a competition, but I think when you're Black, no matter what shade you are, or no matter what texture hair you have, you're going to go through a certain challenge. And based on the narrative of Letty, it does make sense. Even if it didn't make sense, she's killing the game, in my opinion. She's doing a fantastic job. I mean, I think that might be a separate thing that we can have a conversation about in terms of colorism, because there are certain things that I might have a narrative of that other people might not have the same narrative when it comes to that. I get that in the original story, if my memory serves me correctly, she was a dark-skinned woman, correct?
What, in the original?
Yes.
In the original, I don't think it was stated as such, but
I hadn't read the book.
Two sisters who were two different complexes.
I'm sorry, say that again. I couldn't hear you.
I don't know if it was stated as much in the book, but there were two sisters with the same complexion.
That were the complexion. And therein lies the argument about her playing the role of the lead character, correct? Because it's us creating mythology of dark-skinned men want light-skinned women because they want to be closer to white. If we're going to like keep it 100, right or wrong? Right? Okay.
Or at least have babies that won't be as dark as them.
Right. Which I don't think that's not a real thing, but I'll say this, and I mean, like, again, everyone who's watching this, they don't know me, so they don't know how fair I am in terms of being like, I can see all narratives. But I get why that could be a challenge, but at the same time, I don't think that there's anything that's led itself to believe in the storyline that he is in love with Letty because she's light-skinned. Now, when she has the big party, I think there's been narratives. Simone, listen, we've been friends for years. I'm ready. I think when it comes to the party scene, when she's doing the housewarming scene, there's been narratives that lead you to believe that, oh my God, this is a light-skinned woman. Yeah, that's who I want to be with. But as far as Tick, I don't think Tick is that shallow. Tick is a very educated, as Kat brought, he has money.
We know many books about black men who have done the work and like skinned women or white women.
Wait, say that again. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
So we know many book smart black men. You might go. We know many book smart black men and who only go out with white and mixed race women or light skinned women. They exist.
Okay, wait. Are we talking about story narrative or are we talking about real life?
Real life, because this is about, it leans on real life and what we do in real life to bring this story to our consciousness so it resonates.
Okay, let me ask you a question, and I'm not trying to put you on the spot. Do you think Journey doesn't deserve the job because she's light skinned?
I think that because Lovecraft Country is risks in every sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
That for me, it was slightly disappointing to see a light-skinned woman in that role. But on watching,
can I ask you a question? I'm sorry, and I'm cutting you off. If Journey, if we look at most of the cast is dark skinned, right or wrong?
Yeah, but they're all ancestry, but they're not in lead roles.
I don't want to get to lead yet, but we could get to lead. Honestly, you could get. You know me, I love you. You could give it to me.
Right.
When it comes to most people, I go through this, and I have relatives that are, I guess, considered white, but they're not. And when we say we're cousins, people are like questioning. They're questioning us about something that we know.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's imperative, and I've had this conversation with you. It's not about the placement in who gets the light skin role, in like who is. Let me rephrase. Who is light skinned in the roles that are being cast? But I do think it's imperative to reinforce the narrative that just because someone's dark skinned doesn't mean everyone. And there's nothing wrong if everyone in your family is dark skinned. But we are carrying the blood of rape. That's
the only way to be light skinned.
Welcome to New York. I'm sorry. Yeah. We're coloring the blood of rape. So coloring the blood of rape, we come in different shades. We come in different hair textures. There's just a lot of layers that come. So it's like, how would you replace the casting? So this is that the black lead isn't a dark-skinned woman. And I'm not arguing with you on that because I don't see a lot of that. Wait, what happened?
Not sure what happened.
You understand what I'm saying, though?
Now I hear what you're saying. I
think you and Kat, it's going to be me, you, and Kat.
Okay, so just to respond to the points, this is what I think. And just on a minute, what I'm thinking is that I'm not saying Journey doesn't deserve to be in that role. But what I am saying is that we also have to have the imagination that a dark-skinned person can also be in that role and kick ass just like Journey did. And we can fall in love with them the same way we do with Journey. Because remember, white supremacy and liking, Eurocentric ideals of beauty is drummed into us so fervently from the minute we come out of the womb.
But I'm asking you, how would you recast it? Let's say the lead is a dark-skinned woman.
No, I didn't say that Journey should be in that role. I think she's qualified to that role. So I don't think the question
let's say Journey's dark-skinned. Let's argument. Like, this is not, it's not, I mean, I understand. I'm trying to be like neutral on it. Because at the end of the day, Journey could, she's black. She could have been born a dark-skinned woman. Who the hell knows? So let's say Journey is dark-skinned. How would you cast the other roles? Or would they be cast in any light-skinned roles? And I'm not being a sensitive light-skinned person. I'm literally just asking a question.
Well, I would look at if I'm going to do something like Lovecraft Country, which happens on all levels. Hold on. Oh, if I'm going to do something at Lovecraft country and push the boundary on all levels of TV programming, then yeah, maybe I'm actually going to put a whole dark skin cast. And I'm going to say that in terms of Black Lightning, I found it very warming to see a Black family that resonated really on the same kind of skin tone. Right, it was, for me, I saw it. It was a real point that I saw being made there, and I thought, well, that's interesting, that to have a family that's kind of all on the same skin tone, which is slightly darker than what we would call light skin, that's made a point to me. So then that also demonstrates that we don't see enough of it for it to be something that stands out to me. And so if
what I'm going to ask you, and I hear what you're saying, but at the end of the day, and check me on this because I love to be checked. Are we not all in this together? Like, there's not. I mean, listen. In my family, I don't know anyone who's all dark skinned.
No.
I don't know anyone who's all light skinned. I don't know any. Okay, Kat. I feel like you want to say something right now. You don't.
I love you both. I just feel like this is taking us in a direction that I don't know that we need to go.
Okay.
The show, the show is made. I think that it's very well cast. We're seeing all kinds of body types, all kinds of skin complexions.
That's true. We are seeing all kinds of body types.
I think there are other things I think we can be talking about, ancestrally speaking.
I get you. I just think it would be amiss for us not to mention it, because it was something people spoke about. It was something that was noticed. Right. And I want people to also understand that I want people to feel like they can envisage a dark-skinned lead and feel the same way about that lead like they do about
Okay, but do you know for a fact that they were not supporting a black-skinned lead? Now I sound like I'm doing conspiracy, but I'm just asking, because I know there was a writer on Lovecraft who was like, this lead character has to be dark-skinned.
Yeah, but whatever they supported, what we got was Germany. So it doesn't matter about what they supported.
Okay, so is it about complexion or is it about performance?
It's about both. And we can't live in a world where we think that it isn't. That's disingenuous.
I'm not saying we can't live in a world where there isn't, but I do agree with Kat. I mean, that's taking away from the narrative of Lovecraft, because who got cast got cast. And it's not
what I'm saying. Who got cast? So we're dealing with what it is. But I think it's not. I think it's okay for people to mention the point and to see the point, and to also do the work that they can see someone in that role that looks like a dark-skinned person, and they can still feel that they'll be valid and justified and qualified. That is the work we need to do in this instance. I'm not saying to role for Journey. She's done a brilliant job. I am saying that let's always fall into a trap of expecting Journey to have roles like that, because that is what we're expected of us.
Okay, so then this is what I'm going to say, and we had a conversation about this earlier. I feel what you're saying, and then I do think we need to move on.
Yeah, no, I'm ready to.
Okay, so then I won't say anything else. Go ahead.
Yeah, so as we're in the last couple of minutes of this very fabulous live that Mercury tried to really put me out, you. I wanted us to, it's the finale tonight, which I don't think I'm even ready for. I'm actually scared to press the button to watch it, to know that there will be no more episodes until whenever, because I haven't even heard if there's a season 2. So I'm very much apprehensive to draw the end to this. It's really mad. I just feel like scared to actually press the button and it will be over. But what I wanted to ask you and to sort of end on, I wanted to get your viewpoints. What do you think the finale will be? What do you think is going to happen? What are your predictions? Give it to me. I want to hear it. Wild and wonderful.
I think we're going to see Uncle George again. I think he's going to show up. Yeah, I think we're going to see Uncle George again. And what I would absolutely love is if Ruby pushed Christina into the fire and Tick was able to live. I'm hoping, my want to believe that Ruby has a long game that she's playing, and that in that long game she is able to get the magic that she wants from Christina, but that Christina can go away, because Christina to me is probably the most dangerous character in the entire series. And I think the the characterization of her as a white woman, and particularly how white women operate in society in this, and just what we have to deal with. There's a really interesting narrative that's playing out. She's been denied access. So she has this whole idea of her victimhood based on her gender in the midst of being around Black people who are victimized for all these other things. And she just doesn't get it, And so from recreating the death of Emmett Till to just the way that she's always, the curse on D, she's basically like, she's still going to die, but we can, do it this way. I think what I'm hoping is that we realize that she is in fact not the smartest one in the room, because at this point she seems to have all the pieces mapped out. Like I saw somewhere in one of the top in one of the groups that is it possible that Christina knew that by like why did the sheriff curse D? You know what I'm saying? Like what was the like we know what we saw, but what's the other aspect of this? Like did she somehow know that this would trigger them going back in time and getting this book? So is this all part of a larger game? And so what I'm hoping is that Ruby won't disappoint us, and that she got in that car for a reason, and that she'll be, Gretchen, and push the terrible wicked witch into the fire.
Wow, I like that. It's making my brain turn over. I like that. Sheena, over to you. What are your predictions for tonight's finale? You're on mute, girl. You're on mute.
Sorry, I'm back. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't really submerge myself into that narrative, only because that's the beauty of not judging what you think. I think that yes, Uncle isn't dead. D, okay, once again, Kat, we got to give her another name. I was not even thinking I did think why did he mute her, but I thought it was about her mom and not her. I didn't give her that power, that it was about her. I don't think Tick is going to die. I think we're going to see other layers of ancestral walking on the back of your ancestors, helping you guide the way. And I think we're going to have a moment of empowerment of no matter who you love, who you are, what vision you take, what position you take in terms of being immortal and not giving it to your man and being like, yo, I got a baby, I got to do this. I think we're going to understand sometimes if you're not good to yourself, you can't be good to anyone else. But I don't know. We'll see how that works out. But I didn't really give it much thought, so I'm a little in disarray in terms of my narrative on what I think is going to be, only because I don't want to be an actor. I don't want to be an intellectual. I don't want to be any of those things. I just want to like surrender and be like, okay, let me see what you gave me. And then I could be like, you know what she did? I didn't like, or I did like, and then what had happened, and then, dear Misha, these are my feelings. So but also I'm in the business. So I think sometimes I tend to, when it comes to certain projects that allow me to just be a human being and not in the business, I'm just like, okay, great. I'm just not going to judge anything, and I'm going to surrender.
Yeah.
And I don't know how, to be honest with you, I don't, especially when it comes to Black narratives, I don't think that I have a lot of projects in which I do that with. I think I'm already like, yeah, that was it. That's it. So this is the one that I'm like, you know what? I really just kind of want to order takeout. Don't know if I'm going to do that. I might cook something. I'm trying to do this West Indian dish. Wish me luck. And then, I appreciate you, Kat. I'm saying too that, but that's okay. She in her feelings. But don't apologize now. I will talk to you later. But yeah, I just want to like enjoy. I want to see that and The Vow. That's a whole nother level of it. So I want to kind of do those whole things. I mean, obviously Bowie agrees. Just so you know, that's the one dog that has a lot to say right now.
Oh, he's in the crate waiting for me to release him so he can unleash.
Shout out to Kat. Kat dropped the mic several times today.
Yeah, this is why she's on there.
You dropped the mic. I'm gonna be like, Kat, so this character, this is what I came up with. But what did you come up with? Because like that ain't how I I'm ready. Like I wasn't ready. Like, but clearly. And we didn't talk about Tick.
I love
we didn't talk about any of our like it worked out perfectly. We didn't talk about Tick and we didn't talk about Jonathan.
No, well, okay, maybe time. So
make a miracle.
Just to wrap up, my thought is that I hope I'm saying this, but the Kamiho is coming to eat everybody up and Tick away. And then D is probably going to be like, fuck all of y'all, you made me get hurt by these Bopsy and Topsies. She gonna do some juju shit on people and be like, I told you, don't do this to me. I hate how you treated me. It's really out of order. And then she becomes this wild vigilante. And I think Ruby might eat Christina. She just might eat her. And then that will be it. We'll be left with like, what the fuck just happened to us? You know, what did I just put myself through watching this? And that's kind of what I'm thinking. Random, but maybe, because that's exactly what Lovecraft has been. Random, but maybe. And that's exactly what Black people's lives have been in the system of white supremacy. Random, but maybe. And I think we have to keep understanding that everything's random. We have to protect ourselves and meet energy with the energy that we're met with. But maybe. That's the biggest message for us, maybe. And that maybe is also driven by our ancestral technologies and powers. So after 1 hour and 36 minutes of this gloriousness.
And still not enough time.
Not enough time. But with all this kind of like Mercury telling me, girl, we don't need you here and everything else, I'm slightly frazzled, but I'm so glad you guys joined us on this very important day of the love.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
You know we're having a good discussion.
Say it again.
Side note, please vote. If I didn't say it again, vote. Like Obama was like, yeah, but this is like a whole nother time. Like, please, if there's anything I gotta ask you to do is vote. You don't even have to like me, be like that light skin. I don't care what you say about me. Vote.
Well, there's the closing message from Tina. You know, I definitely want us all to take the lessons from Misha Green. She is one of the best people on earth. And not only that she's the best people on earth, is that she just continues to get better and to give us more goodness. And I just really want to give some flowers to Misha. And thank you so much for letting us into your imagination and into the worlds that of us and all the many different worlds we can be. So Misha, and salute to you, my lady. Any support you need, holler at your girl. Also, we can hook you up with a lot of initiated priests who can really help you on the research side of really ancestral, you know, and African spirituality in a really authentic fashion. So holler at your girls, because we can do that for you. And we're just happy. So thank you to Risikat Okedyi. Thank you to China Shavers, the Jesucita lady from Spanish Harlem. And thank you to myself for persevering with Mercury.
You, Simone, you did it. I know it was rough.
Right, it
was real rough. But you know what?
Maybe.
You're gonna make it.
Maybe.
Gonna make it.
Okay, everyone, have a blessed Sunday. Please press the button to stream tonight with us. It will be the last stream for HBO until they get their act together and get us season 2, 3, 4, and 5. Do not do us like you did Underground. I will be at your offices if you did. We need more. Okay. All right, people. Thank you so much.